because I think that's the kind of sentiment people want to see this thing happen in Parliament. Of course, it's a full bench of judges that have that decision to make, and it's only for us to speculate, I think, and for members of the public to voice their concerns and their opinions. But do we have some tweets on that? Yeah, we do, actually. Barry Martin tweets us, obviously says, the no confidence vote is a secret ballot vote, should be the best way to get rid of those corrupt Parliament leaders. Barry Martin says.
This one from Alex Madapo. He says, yes, it will help the African National Congress MPs to vote according to their wish.
Lechasa says, yes, I really want to see that secret ballot. Yes, you're not the only one. 85% of 205 votes. More of you have voted already. We'll update that poll and come back to you with the results as the show develops. Of course, we're live at the Constitutional Court at 10 o'clock. That's inside, but we're outside the Constitutional Court as well. Now, Aldrin Sampear is there talking to all relevant stakeholders about the no confidence vote that will be ruled on in Parliament this morning. Very good morning to you, Aldrin. I know you've got some stakeholders with you, but just set the scene for us. Is there a sort of buoyant, expectant mood outside the courthouse?
Well, certainly expectations running high this morning as we wait for judgment to be handed down whether the Speaker of Parliament does have discretionary powers in terms of allowing a secret ballot in a motion of no confidence against the President, but also whether Section 102 of the Constitution, the omission of the word secret vote or the word secret vote means prohibition, and that's an argument that has been put forward by the UDM, the main applicants in this matter, saying that for the mere fact that the Constitution doesn't say that there should be a secret ballot when voting against a president of the country, it doesn't mean that it is prohibited. And also, of course, the powers of the Speaker of Parliament. I'm going to bring through the main applicant at the moment, and Ngabayam Zumkwanga from the UDM. Just quickly, we're running a snap poll currently, and the results that just came back now. The snap poll is, would you like to see a secret ballot? And of the respondents, a whopping 85% of the people say that they want to see a secret ballot. What does this mean for you?
No, it's good. It vindicates us a great deal. It means that we're on the right track with this application. It means that even our people at home, South Africans, realize that it's important for us to exercise our democratic rights as members of Parliament in secret, to choose. If you can elect a president, for example, in secret, why can't you then remove the very same president via secret ballot? It makes no sense. But obviously we understand that there are other nitty-gritties that the judges would have to consider. From where we're sitting, I think we've done everything we could in terms of our application. We argued it very well. Our lawyers did an exceptional job trying to argue our case. Now we can only hope and pray for an outcome that favors us as a party and the collective of the opposition.
Would you say that, considering the main reason that the UDM made this application, that even a catastrophe that would lead, obviously, that would stem from the entire cabinet resigning, all members of cabinet and deputy ministers, after this motion of no confidence against the president happens to be successful, if that does happen, would you say that that is a price that the country should be willing to pay to rectify some of the issues that you have highlighted that have come forward in terms of under President Jacob Zuma's leadership?
Well, if we want to begin the process of rebuilding South Africa sooner rather than later, we'll have to get rid of most of the executive of President Zuma. We were there before when former President Thabo Mbeki was removed, albeit unconstitutionally, in 2008. And as a country, we managed to survive because we're very strong. And obviously, the Constitution does make provisions for that, to say you will be able to have, I think, the Speaker acting for a quite number of days until an appointment is made of the President or election of the President together with the Cabinet and so on. So I'm sure the country will be able to survive that. There would be plans in place to make sure that there's no instability. We would have to, as leaders, to find whatever mechanisms we can use to make sure that things are operating in order.
Secret vote or open vote, whichever way it goes, quite important for the opposition parties is whether they'll have some support from the ANC's benches.
Well, we are very optimistic that some of our ANC colleagues, especially the ordinary members of Parliament, will support us. We're not banking on members of the executive to do that. Remember, they are conflicted, because if a decision is taken to remove them, it means they are also going to be removed from the executive. But over the past few months, or few weeks rather, we've had good conversations with ordinary MPs who, some of them would like to vote in our favor, even though they get intimidated on a daily basis. So we're going to keep trying to persuade our colleagues to see the importance of doing this for the country rather than focusing on narrow partisan interests.
Does that boost the level of confidence that you will be successful in eventually removing President Jacob Zuma? Also considering what has been happening inside the ANC and the NEC, and the Secretary General of the ANC saying that the party will be closing ranks should that motion of no confidence be debated in Parliament?
Well, I suppose that is a good political statement to make in public. But there are a lot of things happening in, the factional battles in the ANC. I'm aware of discussions in other factions of the ANC which are adamant that they will vote in favor of the motion of no confidence should a secret ballot be provided for them.
Well, certainly factions within inside the ANC would also play a key role in determining whether President Jacob Zuma steps down or is removed as president of the country, and probably not as president of the ANC, considering that the party is heading into its elective conference in the next 6 months. I'm bringing in the DA's James Self quickly. They are not an applicant to this matter, but quite important though is that the DA has experienced what happens when there is a secret motion. A secret ballot is being casted and a motion of no confidence, whether it be against the president, but in your case it was against the mayor, Mogale City. Just explain to us what happened in that case.
Well, in that case the speaker had discretion, and the speaker believed that he wanted to give a secret ballot, and then what happened was that the motion was carried, which meant that one of our members had in fact voted for the motion of no confidence. Now that may be his democratic right, but it's also very important in a constitutional democracy, and particularly one that has a list system, that people who vote for a political party know how their representatives voted. So in our view, a secret ballot should only be used in exceptional circumstances and where there is definite evidence that people are being intimidated or in other ways threatened to vote in particular ways.
On those exceptional circumstances applicable both in the President Jacob Zuma case and probably against the case against the mayor in Mogale City as well, because there have been accusations that have been brought by the ANC in that municipality?
Well, they may very well, but those need to be substantiated. So if any member of the ANC, for that matter, believes that they are being unduly intimidated, then they must produce the proof, and the speaker must exercise her discretion and then decide whether or not to have a secret ballot. In other words, it cannot be decided up front. It needs to be decided on the basis of the evidence before the speaker.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's this issue around the intimidation before the ballot is held, but there's also the repercussions of once you cast the vote. And the DA, for instance, in Mogale City decided to go through a lie detector test and try and find out and ascertain who exactly this person is who voted voted in support of the ANC's motion of no confidence against the mayor. Isn't that a bit of a quagmire, considering the arguments that you've just made at this moment?
Well, it wasn't the DA that decided that. The individual members of the caucus decided voluntarily.
Those are DA members.
Sure.
Those are DA members.
But it wasn't a decision of the party. It was a decision that they took because the collegiality of the caucus had been undermined. But my point is this about the motion of no confidence, at least. We can tell you up front now that whether we have a secret ballot or not a secret ballot, the DA will be voting for the motion of no confidence. We don't need a secret ballot to know that all our members will be doing that. And we've brought this motion. We want that motion to be debated as quickly as possible, because for every minute that Mr. Jacob Zuma is the President of South Africa, this country goes backwards.
And just quickly, on the Mogale City one, you mentioned that in that matter, the Speaker felt that he has discretionary power, she has discretionary power. I wonder whether that sets precedence then, that if that happens at a local governance level, at a council level, shouldn't it also be applicable at the legislature level of Parliament?
Well, that's entirely the danger of the precedent, because in the case of the Speaker of Mogale City, I don't think there were sufficient grounds or sufficiently well made out grounds to justify a secret ballot, which in our view should only be used in exceptional circumstances.
Quick one, just a question that I ask Ngabayom Zikwangwa from the UDM is in terms of section 102 or subsection 2, which says if there's a motion of no confidence against the president successfully, he resigns and his entire cabinet resigns as well, including the deputy ministers. Is that a price that this country must be willing to pay to get rid of the president, based on some of the accusations that you guys have leveled against him in Parliament, and based on some of the allegations that he's facing also with inside the ANC?
Well, he is the captain of the team. If the captain is removed, then the team must go. I don't think it's a train smash for South Africa. In fact, it's probably very good for South Africa. We need a new team, but ultimately we need a new government. And that is why we are putting all our efforts into preparing for 2019.
Well, certainly 2019, big focus there. 2 years from now, as we head to the elections, before we head to the elections, and many will be looking quite closely as to what happens during those elections, and some believe that the ANC's support could be dwindling even further, considering the internal battles that the party is facing, but also the allegations of corruption. But quite important today is the motion of no confidence, whether a secret ballot would be allowed and whether the Speaker of Parliament does have discretionary power, and judgment is expected to be handed down around about 10 o'clock this morning.
Aldrin, thank you very much. Of course, Aldrin will be at the Constitutional Court for the rest of the morning, giving us updates, but also interesting views and reaction as it comes in from outside the courthouse. We're running a poll, gauging your views, your opinion. What are you guys saying? Do you want to see a secret ballot on the no confidence vote in the Parliament? 200